Okay.
Hello. Firstly, apologies. My Latvian is not great, so it will be in English. When we think of Google, perhaps you think of free food, free gym, many interviews, difficult interview questions. And yes, some of that is true. This is my office in London, and I am lucky enough to be based there, where I have the job of working with Google's customers to show them what Google culture looks like and how Google culture can help their organizations. So this is our office. It's not a normal office. It does look a bit different to the offices that you might be used to seeing. Yesterday, previously, maybe we sat at a desk, we had a telephone, we had paper, we worked from there, we didn't work anywhere else. But today we can work from where we like. We have technology providers that allow us to do our job wherever we need to do our job. So today I'm in Latvia, yesterday I was in London, the day before I was in another UK city with one of my customers. But I was able to work wherever I worked. And Google really advocates this with their customers and internally, allowing you to work where you can best get your job done. There are some components that we think you need to have in order to successfully allow people to work to their best ability and to work wherever they like. And these are these four things. So firstly, make things efficient. Remove the barriers to getting your job done. So it won't work if every time I need to do something, I have to go through levels and levels of process and approval and hierarchy. If I want to be able to do my job wherever I am based, I need to just be able to do it. And in order to do that, we need to be able to innovate. So what we do today is different to what we did yesterday and will be different to what we do in the future. And that's okay. We can change, and we must embrace change and make sure that everyone is ready to change. We can only do that if we allow collaboration. We allow people to work together in teams, in groups of people, to do their best work wherever their work needs to be. And finally, let's engage people. Let's make people want to come to work for us, want to do the best work that they can possibly do. And these are the four things that Google strives to achieve with, both internally and with their customers. But you might ask, why? Why does Google care? Why does Google bother? Why do they spend hundreds and thousands of pounds every single day on making their offices look like that, on giving people free food, on providing a gym, etc.? Well, a recent study by PwC says that 67% of people agree that culture is absolutely critical to business success. And 60% of people agree that culture is actually more important than strategy. So you might be able to spend time writing your strategy, setting out your objectives, completing your mission, but actually, does it get you where you want it to be? Does it get you where you want to be? Does it allow you to succeed if your people aren't with you and the culture isn't there? This is Laszlo Bock. He was, until very recently, the head of people at Google. And it was him that first said, hey, Larry, Sergey, you started this business in a garage 18 years ago, and now it's a global company. But we want to keep the roots of what you did when you started in that garage in Mountain View. And so he said this quote, which is what Google strives to achieve at all times: if you give people freedom, they will amaze you. And it's about making sure that people are not restricted by the process, by the rules and regulations that you have in your organization, but allowing them to be transparent and to have a voice within the organization to do their best work. So how do we do this at Google? It's all very well talking theoretically, but there are some things that we do that I wanted to share with you today. So the first thing, maybe you saw the film, The Internship, with the hats and the things on your head. Well, this is real. We do have these every time a new person joins Google. And we think hiring is the most important thing that a company does, and we spend a lot of time on hiring. So when I joined Google, I had 10 interviews before I got the job. And we spend a lot of time rejecting people, unfortunately, as well. And some people might think that's wasted time. But at Google, what we believe is that hiring is the most important thing you can do, because if you choose the right people for your organization, then you are more likely to succeed later. So you spend less time later training, developing, coaching people. Yes, you help them instead to succeed in the organization. And one thing that we do at Google is that we don't let any single manager choose a candidate or approve a hire. Everyone from the organization has to be involved in hiring. So what that means is those 7, 10, however many interviews you have will be from different parts of the business and different people. So as an example, I work in the Google Cloud team. I was interviewed by someone in YouTube. And therefore, the whole organization comes together and makes sure that the people we're hiring are a cultural fit and the right people across the whole organization. Secondly, we default to open. So Larry and Sergey, 18 years ago, created this business in a garage in Mountain View. It was a small team of 6 people. Now we are a very large team of many, many more than 6 people and many more than 6 locations. We're around the world. But every Friday, we still have a meeting with Larry and Sergey where we can ask from the very junior level to the most senior level any questions. No censorship, no decisions on who gets to ask the question or who doesn't. The whole company can vote on the questions, and those are the ones that get asked. Now, clearly, in recent times, with the political, fake news, the ads scandals that we've seen in the UK this week, there's been some difficult questions. But Larry and Sergey still allow that to happen. They still allow this open culture in which any employee in the organization can ask them a question. And that's really important, to feel committed and to see them there answering our questions. They also set their public objectives every year. So every year we can see what it is that the 2 of them strive to achieve with the Alphabet group. And those objectives then get flown down through the organization. So at each level, the objectives tie with what they set at the very top. So I, as an individual, perhaps employee number 65,057, whatever it might be, still recognize that what I am doing is related to their objectives at the top. And so what this does is it helps the whole organization to come together to focus on the goal that we're all working towards. We also encourage innovation from anywhere. So you don't have to be in a specific role to be an innovator or to make change within the organization. And a great example of this is this page here. So a Googler, someone working in London, realized that when you Google how to commit suicide, actually you get responses that tell you how to commit suicide. And that's not right. That should not be the case. And so she recognized that actually what there should be is a helpline for people to call, so that if people search this, they immediately get a better response than telling them how to do it. And so she went ahead and got this implemented. This wasn't her job. It's just something that she realized was important for society. And this became known within Google as 20% time. So this is the ability to spend 20% of your time working on something that's not directly related to your job. Why does Google allow it? They allow it because things like this come of it, because we can find new projects, people can work on things they're passionate about, and are more likely to stay within the organization if they're given the opportunity to do that. We also encourage people to launch and iterate and fail if they need to. So this is what Google Glass looked like when it was first designed by someone within the organization. Now, obviously, Google Glass does not look like this anymore. It's much sleeker, and it actually works. But it didn't matter. This person's manager didn't say, that looks rubbish, stop that, we're not doing that anymore. They changed, and they made iterations and iterations that allowed them to get to where they wanted to be. But the important note is here, it's not that Google Glass was successful. In fact, it's not been very successful around the world. But that's okay too. And we celebrate failure, and we make it known that failure is okay, as long as we learn from that failure. So if next year Google launches another Glass product, then maybe we didn't learn from that failure, and maybe that wasn't such a good thing to have done. But we hope that we learned from that. We learned that that wasn't what culture or society want right now, and therefore we'll go and work on something else. But that failure wasn't written down as, oh, we must hide it, we mustn't tell anyone that we did this, we spent a lot of money on this, and we didn't, or we probably shouldn't have done. That's totally okay, and it's celebrated within the organization. And finally, we try to continuously develop and grow our talent. So we recognize that the biggest asset within the organization is actually the Googlers themselves. As I said already, we spend a lot of time on interviewing, we spend a lot of time on hiring people. And so when you've got those people, you have the top talent and you've attracted them into your organization, how do you keep them there? And that's the biggest question. How do you stop people from leaving Google and going to Facebook, or going to Microsoft, or going to Amazon, any of the big competitors in the market? And the new competitors we're seeing coming through, like Snapchat and Waze and other technology hubs, both in America and here in Europe. How do we keep people in the organization when they're there? And one of the mantras that we have is that every Googler has something to teach. And that means that every Googler can also learn something. And so we have what we call a G2G program. That is a Googler to Googler program. So Googlers can work together. So for example, I can't code. However, there are many people within our organization who can code really well. So they will post that they're happy to run training sessions on coding. I might post that I'm happy to run a training session on Google's culture, and we might swap knowledge and share ideas. Equally, maybe they have a space opening up in their team for not a full-time job, but a part-time job. And I might think, okay, I could give 2 days a week to try something different. That would be really interesting for me. And so we allow this internal mobility as well. So it's all about making sure that the knowledge that people have is shared, but also those people that want to learn more can learn more. And finally, of course, the environment is important. And it's well known, I think, that at Google we do have slides in some of our offices, but some of our offices have picnic benches or, just really good food. It does depend on where you are, and you are lucky or you're unlucky, depending on your location. But the point here is that we're not sitting at a desk, a white surface with white walls and maybe a little cubicle. We don't decorate our homes like that, and we wouldn't spend time at home if that's what our homes look like, because it's not comfortable, it's not somewhere we want to be. But when we make work look a bit more like home, it is somewhere that people want to be. It's somewhere that people want to bring their whole selves to and be a big part of. And this is what Google tries to achieve in each and every one of their offices. And so my top tips for fostering people and keeping them within your organization are: be deliberate about your culture and what you want your organization to look like. Give employees the freedom, usually the technology, to allow them to do the stuff that they need to do from wherever they need to do it. Ensure that the very top lead by example, so that what you say is actually true because the people in the senior leadership positions are actually doing it. Invest in hiring the right people and spend time on that. Make it a big goal of yours. Set big objectives. You're only going to improve by 10% if you set an objective that is 10% more than what you did last year. But if you make it 10x what you did last year, then maybe there will be a fundamental change within the organization. And importantly, allow people to achieve those objectives however they think is right. Don't try to control people. Celebrate the learnings, but also learn from failure. And failure is okay, it's not a bad thing. And finally, whilst you're doing it, have some fun. Thank you.